What's going on, YouTube? Fellas, it's the last good man in Jersey, here to ask a question that I've been growing more and more curious about, given some of the conversations I've been having with potential dates of late. So, the topic for today is: do you think the women who you're meeting want husbands and relationships, or do you think they just want financial support for their kids? Kids that they'd have with you, but kids that they'd basically have with you before skipping town and taking the kid at least part time. I'm not so sure the women that I've been finding of late really want relationships. They just want ATM machines. So let's kind of talk about this. But before we do, click like and click subscribe. And as we get into this, feel free to leave comments because I'm really curious to understand what's going on. Okay, that's out of the way. So let's talk about a recent conversation I had with someone who, very nice looking woman. She was a very attractive woman. But who went down a very weird path in our conversation. Okay. I focus on the sweet spot. Women 40 to 45, never had kids, want kids. Those are women who generally have gotten past a lot of what I'll call the silly expectations, where they're looking for guys that are extremely rare finds, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 5,000. Guys who are very hard to find and who they haven't yet realized probably don't want to choose them because they have other options. Guy who's 45, making $250,000 a year, tall, fit, attractive, probably not looking to date a 42-year-old. He can date a 32-year-old. And, his guys, younger is more attractive. So this is all stuff we know. Okay. Talking to this one, in the sweet spot, slim, attractive, smart. This is where the conversation starts to get weird. She was, looking for someone who was looking for something long term, which leads to the conversation about, needing to get to know someone before you can really tell whether they're the kind of person who you would want to spend time with long term. Very linear. Like, I can't commit to you if I haven't even met you. Logical. At least I would expect that to be logical. She's continuing down this path. And I relayed to her kind of what my concern is as a guy, which is I don't want to marry someone who's going to have a kid, have my kid, divorce me, sue me for half my stuff, and take my kid away from me at least half the time. Like, as a guy, that is something that is definitely a red flag. Any indication that that might be what you want to do, and I'm gone. Now, I thought that that would be kind of a logical conclusion, and that she would respond with something like, makes sense, I understand, don't know why someone would want to do that, something along the lines of, yes, I agree. But she didn't go there. I laid that out and she paused. And the pause was one of those uncomfortable pauses where it felt like she was trying to figure out what to say because she wasn't sure how to respond. If I already know my feelings about an issue, I don't need a pregnant, pardon the pun, I don't need a pregnant pause when I know my position. Hey, do you think, that horrible people should be left to their own devices and that they shouldn't pollute the well for all, the nice people out here who are trying to find dates? Absolutely. Do you think schemers and crooks should, experience a big heaping dose of karma and find themselves paired with schemers and crooks? Absolutely. Do you think that women who just want to have a kid with you and divorce you so they have financial support should be able to do so? Absolutely not. Very easy questions to answer. It's the weird questions where someone starts to ask you, hey, do you think I'm a wife? And you're like, okay, how do I want to answer this? Because I know the answer to the question, which is, at this present moment, no. But I want to be tactful in how I respond. That's where you get the pregnant pause. She's got the pregnant pause, so now I'm thinking, I just said I don't want someone who would have my kid bounce out and sue me for a bunch of my stuff. And you needed a pregnant pause, which means that maybe that's not expressly what you plan to do, but something that you've realized is a very real possibility. It was that very awkward moment. And I thought, okay, what's going on here? I don't get this. Suffice it to say that was, the start of the downward spiral in that conversation. But it goes back to something that, I've asked before and that I'll just throw out there to, I'll throw this out there to the women who may be listening. If what you really want is a kid, why don't you go to a sperm bank? If all you care about is a kid, you can do that. If you're a successful, educated woman today, you can just go to the sperm bank. You've got the insurance, you've got the money, you've got the desire to have the kid. Go do it. I don't know how many women I've met who, strong careers, I live right outside Manhattan. So I'm talking big dogs in big companies in a big city. Strong careers, strong incomes, and you find them childless, realizing that, their clocks have run out. Their chance to have a kid is gone. And I wonder, well, why didn't you just go to the sperm bank? That would solve the kid problem. Sure, it might not solve the husband problem, but, well, let's face it, you haven't solved that. And now you're in your early, mid 40s. If you haven't solved it by now and you haven't changed your approach, there's a good chance you may never solve it. I really have a curiosity about that. Why, miss out on having a kid if you don't have to? Why drag a guy into this unless you're explicitly trying to exploit his resources? Why not just go to the sperm bank? Now, I know there's a ton of stats out there that say, kids in two-parent households generally are, better off. They grow up healthier, more productive, more well-adjusted. Forget all that. Who cares? Does that matter to you? You having a kid, do you really care about the stats on that? Do you really think you're one of the people who's going to be the bad parent? And even if you aren't perfect, so what? How many kids are growing up in single-parent households because the parents got divorced and one of the parents isn't there that much? I don't care about any of that. I'm not going to tell you, to change your mind based on some statistics of how other people have raised their kids. I'm going to tell you, go after what you want. But I am going to ask you to be a little bit clearer in your thinking about what you want. Do you want a husband? If you don't, why are you wasting time out here on the market looking for guys when you're in such a rush that you're never going to find them? Why not just go to the sperm bank? Solve the problem. Takes you off the market, limits your options, but your options are already limited. So right now we're playing, it's triage. Which thing do you want more, the kid or the man? If you can't have both, which one would you choose? Personally, wife or kid, I'd probably choose kid. Kid is with me for life. Wife may or may not be. The bird in the hand, the guarantee, I'll take the guarantee over the gamble. to the guys out there, just let me know what you're seeing, because I'm really curious to know whether it feels like you're finding women who want you in their life, or they just want your resources to help them with the life they're building. Let me know what you're thinking, because I'd love to compare notes.